Holy shit. It's stupid to walk out here in a suit.
Probably should be too close to it, huh? Oh, cool though. Let's go.
In June 2001, Jim Mills guided a youth backpacking group through the Marble Mountains. What they recorded that day has since become one of the most frequently discussed Bigfoot clips ever filmed.
Something.
Brad's getting eaten alive.
Brad, let me...
As the group continued hiking, they started noticing details that seemed unusual. Leaves and branches had been gathered into a pile that appeared intentionally arranged. Claw-like marks stretched down nearby trees, and broken twigs were scattered across the forest floor. Whatever had moved through the area seemed powerful and large.
It's to the right of them. It's walking that way.
Then, they saw an enormous figure on the ridge to their right. It looked tall and wide. At one point, it lifted an arm in a gesture that almost seemed like a warning. The figure remained there briefly, then turned and vanished into the tree line. When the group approached the area, they discovered large, deep footprints pressed into the soil. For decades, the footage has been examined and debated. It remains one of the most famous videos connected to Bigfoot reports in the American wilderness. What do you think was really standing on that ridge that day? The YouTube channel Bigfoot Encounters posted a video recorded during midwinter in a thick Russian forest. This clip gained notice because it seemed to show a figure moving through the snow at unusual speed. The recording was short. A figure traveled through deep snow quicker than most people could without stumbling or showing obvious strain. It moved across the area smoothly in conditions that would slow humans down greatly. Some viewers linked it to the Almas, a large unknown creature reported in Russia and Central Asia, often compared with Bigfoot. The uploader focused especially on the way it moved, pointing out how hard that speed and fluid motion would be to copy in deep snow. That movement is the detail that stands out too quick, too smooth for those conditions. What do you think crossed that forest? Shock Reel TV shared a brief TikTok clip of a man walking along a wooded trail in Ohio. He suddenly froze. Ahead, a large shape stood among the trees.
Holy shit. That's the thing people were seeing in Mantua.
Many viewers who saw the clip said the footage felt unnatural, with most suspecting it was AI generated. What do you think, a real encounter or another digital fake created online? The YouTube channel Squatch Watchers shared footage of a group far inside the woods at night. The channel centers on field searches for Bigfoot activity. At one point, loud cracking noises started carrying through the woods around them. The sounds were like rocks being hit together, sharp, heavy, and coming from several directions.
I don't think. 3. Yeah. Hang on. One here, and one here.
The group focused on the pattern and force of each strike, suggesting something strong may have been causing it. Whatever made the sounds was never seen on camera. To the group, the pattern felt deliberate, but without a visible source in the footage, nothing could be proven. What creates a sound like that deep in the woods, and why in that rhythm, you decide. While walking through the Idaho wilderness, a man was taking photos of wildlife when odd noises drew his attention as evening drew closer. He had been getting ready to head back when the sounds made him stop. Curious, he followed them until 2 figures appeared, one larger, one smaller. Both looked human-like, but each seemed covered in thick fur. That difference in size made some viewers think the footage might show an adult with its young, a detail that separated it from most sightings, which usually feature only one figure. However, many people who saw the clip said the movement and overall look felt unnatural. The way the figures moved seemed wrong to many of those viewers, with some suggesting AI generation was the most likely explanation. 2 figures, a strange size difference in motion that does not fully make sense, real encounter or polished fake. What do you think? Instagram user Squatch. Watch One posted a clip said to come from the early 1970s. The footage looks rough and warped. A large upright figure crosses an open area, its long arms swinging beside its body. Some viewers said the figure's proportions seemed unusual, perhaps a malformed or non-standard specimen. Others claimed the strange look came from old 1970s film distortion, not from anything abnormal about the subject. Old film grain can explain plenty, but it cannot explain everything. If this footage truly dates back to the 1970s, what do you think was moving across that open ground out there that day? Two friends were on a boat enjoying a day along the river and recording the shoreline when something near the bank suddenly caught their eye. As they looked over the area, a figure appeared between the tall grass. It was covered in rough brown fur. Neither friend could immediately tell what they were seeing, so they continued filming. Then the figure rose. It stood fully upright, showing itself as a tall creature walking on two legs. The pair watched as it quickly moved away and vanished from the area completely. A furry figure standing upright on a riverbank is hard to dismiss. What do you think they saw? On February 6, 2024, YouTuber Carlos Costa placed a trail camera on his land in Brazil, far inside the forest. He had been hearing odd sounds at night and wanted to learn what was making them. One night, the camera captured something moving across the area. The figure looked entirely black and moved fast on all fours. When the video was enlarged, what seemed to be a snout and teeth could be seen. Many viewers who saw the clip quickly thought of a werewolf. Brazil has a long tradition of creature folklore in its rural forest areas, including tales of the lobisomem, a being said to change under the full moon and roam the wilderness alone, hunting. What do you think was moving through that forest? Footage thought to have been filmed in 1963 is now known as the Harlon Ford Bigfoot and is considered one of the earliest recorded sightings ever captured on film. Harlon Ford was a retired man who often went into the wilderness with a camera. During one trip, he claimed he encountered something he could not identify. The creature stood about 7 feet tall, was covered in gray hair, and had red eyes. He also mentioned a powerful rotten smell in the area. What made this case different was the footprints. Unlike most Bigfoot accounts, the tracks Ford discovered had webbed toes. Gray hair, red eyes, a bad odor, and webbed tracks. That combination does not fit the usual description. What do you think he really found out there? A TikTok creator called Fly Fish Delaware was fishing in a quiet wooded area when a sharp crack suddenly cut through the silence. Seconds later, a tree broke and crashed to the ground directly across the water from where he stood. There was no heavy wind. Nothing obvious seemed to explain why the tree fell the way it did. Snap trees are often mentioned in stories involving large, unknown creatures, usually described as a show of power or a warning to stay away. A tree falling without wind or warning is difficult to ignore, but also difficult to prove. What do you think made it fall at that moment? One of the world's best-known naturalists shifted his focus toward the Yeti mystery, a creature said for generations to live in the Himalayas. He considered whether prehistoric animals such as Gigantopithecus may have helped inspire the legend, as stories of huge ape-like beings have been repeated across the region. The naturalist pointed to two pieces of evidence that suggest something in those mountains has not been fully explained.
There is a real possibility that there might be something in the abominable snowman mystery. There is a famous photograph of a footprint, a very big footprint, in the snow that was taken, I think, at 18,000 feet or something in the Himalayas on a snowfield in the 30s by a famous mountaineer called Eric Shipton. People are suggesting that maybe it was a folk, but nonetheless there was a trail of these prints which went right across the snowfield and disappeared onto rocks on the other side. And I don't think you make all those jokes at 18,000 feet, but perhaps even more intriguing and certainly more reliable is that in the 30s there was a German called von Königswald, and he went into a Chinese chemist, apothecary's shop, and there are all sorts of traditional medicines kept in those shops, and among them were some fossil teeth or subfossil teeth, and amongst those were huge molars, about that size, about 4 or 5 times the size of our molar. I mean, it had to be the molar of a giant ape. And he then, he got about 4 or 5 of them, but the search then went on for a number of years, and eventually they found a bit of a jaw, just this lower part here, which had these teeth in, of a giant ape that's would stand, if it was blown up in proportion, something like 10 feet to 12 feet tall. Immense,
Yeah.
you know? So one did exist. I mean, if people here, I dare say, have walked in the Himalayas. If you have, you know that the distances are immense. And you know, too, there's an animal that lives there will be well aware of your presence before you know where it is, and that it may keep out of the way. So there are persistent legends up amongst the Sherpas, like in the high mountains in the Himalayas. And I just have a suspicion there certainly was one, a giant ape there, and I think it's not impossible that one will survive.
So the Yeti could be hiding out somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether a descendant of that ancient ape still roams the Himalayas is a question that has never been completely settled, and it continues to attract attention from researchers and explorers. A creature that massive in land, that remote, avoiding people for centuries, may not be as impossible as it sounds. Do you think something still survives in those mountains, or did it vanish long before anyone began searching? 2 friends were moving through a swampy area when they spotted a dark shape watching them from the tree line. They began filming. The figure shifted in and out from behind a large tree, showing itself for a moment, then slipping back into the brush. It did this more than once. Whatever it was, it stayed concealed while watching. Neither of them got a clear view. They left confused and uneasy, with no explanation for what had been silently observing them from the swamp. Something that hides but keeps watching does not act like most animals. What do you think was there in those trees? A homeowner in Tennessee placed a camera outside to record noises coming from the woods behind his house. He had spent time backpacking through the Appalachians and already knew about reports of strange sounds in the area. What he recorded that night was unlike anything he had heard before. The audio captured knocking near the tree-line coyotes and what sounded like a raccoon in distress. Around 28 seconds, the knocking grew stronger. Then, at 1:14, a deep growl came through something he could not identify. In person, the knocking had sounded like chains striking trees or wood breaking, but with a strangely organic quality his phone could not fully record. About a month earlier, he had seen red orbs near the tree line. Still, he made no definite claims about any of it. Whatever was outside that night disturbed him enough to share the recording. Some sounds near rural woods do not fit known animals, and when knocking, growling, and strange lights appear in the same area, it becomes hard to dismiss. What do you think made that sound at 1:14? M.K. Davis is a veteran Bigfoot investigator, recognized for studying audio and video recordings from remote wilderness locations. In this video, he replays several vocalizations he captured during one of those sessions noises he believes may not line up with any known wildlife.
Now let's listen to the audio portion, greatly amplified, so that we could listen and hear some of the fainter words or expressions.
The audio featured strange tones and patterns that he struggled to connect to common animals. He boosted parts of the recording to make quieter elements easier to hear and explained what stood out to him. He avoided making firm conclusions. Instead, he offered the footage and audio as material worth reviewing, leaving viewers to decide. Some behaviors shown backing into light, interacting with objects, and possibly sensing infrared do not match normal wildlife patterns. What do you think appeared there in that footage? A group of explorers went into the woods at night, carrying only cameras and lights. During the walk, one of them suddenly stopped and aimed his light toward the ground. What he saw made the whole group freeze.
Somebody said that there's a guy on here saying they ain't seen prints yet.
Pressed into the soft soil was a large footprint clearly bigger than any human foot among them. When they looked closer, they found two prints beside each other, along with what seemed to be a large handprint nearby. The placement suggested something huge had lowered itself into that exact spot.
What? I mean, can you put your foot beside of it?
Oh my God.
It's definitely bigger than our foot wide.
One member set his foot beside the print to compare. The mark was obviously wider and longer. The group searched the area but found no clear answer for what had made the impressions or how recently they had been left. Whatever had been there had moved away before they arrived. Oversized footprints with a possible handprint in that position are difficult to explain as a prank or simple mistake. What do you think was crouching in those woods that night? A man was walking alone through the forest when he encountered something he had not expected. His video was later posted online, where it sparked attention and debate. At one point along the path, he noticed a large shape among the trees. The creature looked huge, covered in thick, tangled fur, and appeared to have a long, dog-like snout. He saw it only briefly before backing away. Some viewers pointed to known animals, while others suggested something more difficult to explain. A big fur-covered figure with a canine-like snout does not match ordinary wildlife. What do you think he saw out there? Two friends were walking through the woods in Washington state when a sound stopped them in place. Their footage was posted online and quickly drew attention from viewers familiar with similar reports across the Pacific Northwest.
Hell, like that. What the hell would that be? Wow.
Without warning, a harsh, powerful scream came from the tree line. It carried through the forest and did not fade away. The pair stopped and listened. What stood out most was the sheer volume. They believed it was far beyond what any ordinary local animal could make, and that whatever produced it would need an unusually strong lung capacity. Nothing showed itself. A scream that loud with no visible source and no match to local wildlife is hard to dismiss. What do you think was in those trees? While hunting inside Ohio's Salt Fork State Park, a man abruptly noticed something unusual. A large ape-like figure moved quietly between the trees.
See all the hair? It'd be stupid to walk out here in a suit and get shot. He's right behind that tree. And his hair's gray and black. Is that gray? Is that snow? That's not snow. It's gray. Brown, gray.
Covered in fur that appeared gray and black. It looked tall and wide, too convincing to seem like a costume and too dangerous for anyone to wear in an active hunting zone. Some residents believe he may have seen the Ohio Grassman, a local legend, said to make grass nests and wander the rural woods nearby. Stories of similar beings in Ohio reportedly date back as far as 1869, even today. A man sent his drone over a peaceful lake in northern Maine while searching for a fresh fishing location. He was not looking for legends, just enjoying a quiet day. But later that night, when he reviewed the video, something odd appeared near the tree line, a tall figure covered in dark hair walking upright on two legs. After noticing it, he returned and recorded the area again, hoping to capture it once more, but the figure had vanished. He posted the clip online, asking if anyone could explain what he had filmed. In 2009, a YouTube video called Yellow Top Bigfoot appeared online, showing a figure with a yellow-toned patch of hair on its head moving through the forest near Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park. The clip gained attention again recently after being reposted, leading some viewers to compare it with the well-known Patterson-Gimlin film. But the comparisons were not strong. The figure looked small, walked awkwardly, and had arm proportions that seemed closer to a person than an ape. Eventually, the story fell apart. The original uploader later confessed the video had been staged for a short film promotion. In the end, it was a man in a costume, not evidence of an unknown primate. A Redditor claimed he had recorded an unusual groan deep in the woods. The uploader was almost certain it was Bigfoot. He said the sound came from the same area where he believed he had seen the creature once before. Although the audio lasted only a few seconds, it triggered many reactions online, from curiosity to doubt, and the comments quickly filled up. But soon afterward, the uploader disappeared, claiming undercover officers had visited him. In 2018, a video appeared, claiming to show the mysterious Honey Island swamp monster. The footage was captured by Harlon Ford, a retired air traffic controller deep in the Louisiana bayou. Locals described the creature as over 7 feet tall, covered in dark gray hair, and carrying a foul smell of decay. Its tracks are strange, webbed like an alligator's, yet shaped like a man's. Then it disappears into the dense swamp mist, leaving fear and speculation behind. In this image, which recently resurfaced, something large can be seen standing partly submerged in the water. Commentators say the visible height above the surface appears to be about 6 feet. If the water is even 2 feet deep, that would put the figure somewhere around 8 to 10 feet tall. There's little background information available about the photo, so a hoax cannot be ruled out. Still, it looks unusually real. While hiking through Provo Canyon, Utah, 2 friends saw something moving far ahead.
What's he doing? Does he think it's a bear?
At first, it seemed like a black bear, but when the creature rose onto 2 feet, it became clear this was no bear. The figure looked human-like and was covered with dark fur.
Probably should be too close to it. Huh? It's kind of cool though. Let's go.
When it seemed to notice the hikers, the moment grew tense. Worried for their safety, they quickly fled away. While walking through the forest, a man spotted something strange far in the distance. He heard branches breaking in the brush, then saw a large dark figure moving between the trees.
Pretty much up through here. I hear the brush popping and stuff. Oh, there he goes.
The filmer claims the video is untouched and has not been altered. The creature shown in the footage does not resemble any known animal, leading some viewers to call it possible Bigfoot evidence. Skeptics, however, argue it may be a carefully planned hoax. A user known as 16 recently posted a 15-second video called "This Video I Took at a Lake Recorded During a Quiet Hike." The clip opens with peaceful natural sounds, until a sudden frightening scream tears through the stillness. It could have come from an animal found in that region, but the sound carries a disturbingly human tone. Viewers were left unsettled, and from there we move into the next group of terrifying encounters. On June 16, 2024, an unusual photo started spreading across Facebook. It showed a tall, fur-covered figure, but something seemed wrong. Its arms reached much lower than expected, and its body looked oddly thin and upright, very unlike the Bigfoot described in famous sightings such as Patterson's footage or reports from Ohio. Nothing about this shape matched what people had seen before. Some started asking whether it was really Bigfoot at all, or if it could have been something entirely different. While recording a calm afternoon inside his university's nature preserve, Christian later spotted something strange. When he looked back at the footage, a tall, upright figure moving among the trees. The shape appeared covered in dark hair, too human-like to seem like a normal animal, but too unusual to look like an ordinary person. Its movement did not resemble a deer or a bear. The way it walked was different. The clip spread quickly around campus, and even a biology professor remarked that if Bigfoot existed, that preserve would be a believable place to encounter one. What Christian filmed remains unexplained. Hopefully, it was not just a prank.